Hi, this is Alan from Las Vegas, Nevada. I keep hearing about red flag laws when it comes to guns, but I'm not really sure what that is. What is a red flag law?
All right.
Yeah, what's a red flag law?
Thank you, Alan, for calling.
Is that like when you buy a gun, you wave your red flag to let everyone know you bought one?
Mm-hmm. Kind of like a finish flag, like a checker flag?
Exactly, but
Yeah.
it's red because guns.
Oh.
No, actually, a red flag law is something that gun owners should actually be concerned about.
Right.
Red flag law is kind of a general term thrown out there, but there are gun control advocates who advocate that we should be able to take guns away from people, quote unquote, before something bad happens, right? So the problem is it undermines our due process.
Right.
And we had a customer in our store who had this happen. Someone filed an order of protection against him. Turned out that the gal he was dating just it was kind of a jealousy thing. She filed an order of protection, and the ATF actually showed up and wanted to have a conversation and potentially take guns from the customer.
Wow, that's scary.
He started getting denied whenever he did background checks. So what I want to do is I want to bring in an expert on this topic. So we're bringing in Vic Young from our sponsor, US LawShield, to talk about what are red flag laws and what does that mean to you. Vic, are you on the line?
I am.
Were you here when we were getting the voicemail open? I hope not.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm telling you, been like 1992, I saw Guns N' Roses, most epic concert I've ever been to in my life, and I think you guys have topped it. Some of the most amazing shredding I've ever seen.
Wow. Thank you, Victor. I mean, I always felt like I had it in me better than James Hetfield did.
And I think that...
and Slash.
Everything, and that made it all right into the feed, so everybody got to see the same thing that Vic saw.
It's now on record. We are better than Metallica and the other one, Guns N' Roses. That's it. It slipped my mind for a second.
Well, thank you for the compliment,
amazing,
Vic.
quite amazing.
Yes, thank you.
But first, we need to, for Alan's sake, we need to answer what is a red flag law and why should we be concerned with them?
Well, red flag laws are kind of unique in that they've actually been around for about 20 years. Connecticut started it, but after the Parkland Hills incident in Florida, several other states have enacted similar laws. Currently, there are 19 states and Washington, D.C., so 20 areas that have what are categorized as red flag laws. Sometimes they're called firearms restraining orders, risk protection orders, extreme risk protection orders. But they all essentially have the same meaning.
Okay, Vic, we're coming up on a break. I'm going to have to stop you, but we're going to just bridge over this gap. We'll break it down right here on the Gun Shop Show. On the line, we have our expert, Victor Young. He was breaking down that several states have red flag laws and what they are and why they matter to you. Vic, thanks for being on, and continue with your thoughts there on where some of those laws are in place and what they mean for gun owners.
Of course, my pleasure. Your caller was from Nevada, and they do have a red flag law. It'll be hard to get into individual states and their requirements, but to kind of summarize everything, it is a direct bypass of due process of law. Now, what I mean by that is you could have a community or a family member, a doctor, a counselor, someone who believes that maybe you could harm yourself or someone else. They have the right to petition the law enforcement entity in that area and have your guns taken away. Now, sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's up to 45 days. The problem is there's no real path to reconcile these accusations. And in most cases, the individual or the subject of the red flag confiscation actually isn't given a right to speak or defend themselves until a final hearing. So I guess to summarize it, it's just it's a bypass of due process of law. And it actually, in my opinion, violates our amendments, and that is unlawful search and seizure.
I agree with that, and one of it sounds good on the surface, especially to the general public after a tragic shootings happened. That what could we have done ahead of time? So the idea is that theoretically you could identify somebody who was going to do something violent ahead of time. Well, the major problem with that is one, there's no real way to know or predict, and two, the potential for the abuse of that. And what we see a lot is it's ex-spouses, girlfriends and boyfriends that want to punish, so they manipulate. They know that mechanism is in place, and that one of the things that bothers me about this is one of the times you might need your guns the most is when you're going through some kind of turmoil, family-wise, or maybe you've already used your gun in self-defense and then someone's questioning that self-defense, and therefore they use that as justification to go after your gun ownership. So I can imagine you would feel pretty helpless if law enforcement or the ATF is showing up wanting to enforce something like this on the average gun owner. So what can someone do to protect themselves, Vic?
Well, as a member of US LawShield, we help represent individuals who find themselves subject to such laws. Our recommendation is that you comply with the order, because if you resist, it now goes from a civil matter into a criminal matter. But comply with the law, contact your US LawShield attorney immediately, and we will represent you in obtaining your firearms back to their rightful owners.
Well, I'm a US LawShield member for a lot of reasons. One is so that I will have that protection if I unfortunately have to use my gun in self-defense. But you are the only entity, I say you, US LawShield is the only entity that I know of that actually covers red flag laws specifically.
That, to my knowledge, is correct as well. One of the unique things about US LawShield is that we not only cover for self-defense, but accidental discharge, negligent discharge, red flag laws, basically infringement on your right to carry for self-defense.
And not that you needed any more reason to want or need US LawShield coverage, but there's yet another one, and folks can do that by going to uslawshield.com. Is that right?
That is correct. Be sure, though, we have a special promotion for our Liberty Tree guests. And at the bottom right-hand corner of that page, when you sign up, be sure to type in the word Liberty Tree, all one word, and you're going to have some special promotions just for your listeners.
Yep, they're going to get 2 months for free. They're also going to lock in their rate. That's something we've broke down a lot on the show. We'll put more information on that. But if you're going to sign up for US LawShield, please do so by taking advantage of that promo code LibertyTree, because it does a couple things. It helps support those who support us. US LawShield's making this program possible. Mm-hmm. So you are getting something that you need as a gun owner. You're also supporting the show, and you're supporting people who believe what you believe. Vic, I want to thank you so much for being on with us.
It's a pleasure always. I look forward to the next time.
Thank you very much, Vic.